The views and opinions expressed here on Wrestling Winedown are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, employer, or company. What's up, guys? It's Lo, and you are tuned in to Wrestling Winedown, a female-founded and hosted podcast dedicated to professional wrestling and our favorite adult beverage. Welcome back to another episode of Chardonnay and Chisme, your wrestling girl talk. As always, I am joined by Iridian of the Rest Friends podcast, as well as Fightful. And what a time it is to be a professional wrestling fan. We are spilling the wine on all things pro wrestling, including the absence of Jade Cargill at Elimination Chamber. Rumor has it that Cargill was supposed to be in the match, but was pulled last minute. Do we think the WWE made the right decision by not putting Jade Cargill in the Elimination Chamber match, which would have been her second match in the company? If you don't use Twitter or X, you probably missed out on the hashtag #WeWantCody movement. We are filling y'all in on what exactly this hashtag was all about, the fan reaction to Cody's booking so far leading up to WrestleMania 40, and if we think The Rock will cost his cousin, part of his bloodline, Roman Reigns, the title in Philadelphia. With WrestleMania season comes the WWE Hall of Fame, and we are spilling the wine on who we think should headline this year's class of 2024 and who we would like to see inducted. With Naomi back in the WWE and a little bit of big business happening in AEW coming up in Boston shortly, we are chatting about almost the 2-year anniversary of Sasha Banks, also known as Mercedes Moné, and Trinity, also known as Naomi, walking out of WWE. We are spilling the wine on these women's journeys, both in Impact as well as New Japan Pro Wrestling, and what we are looking forward to them accomplishing next in their careers. And finally, our regular sound off is turning into Words of Winedown. In this segment, we are talking about why, as a whole, professional wrestling needs to stop giving predators a platform. So grab your favorite glass of bubbly. We're going in for the 3 count. We are back with another episode of Chardonnay and Chisme. As always, I am joined by Iridian of the Rest Friends podcast, as well as Fightful. How in the hell are you?
I am doing great, fantastic. If I could think of more words, I would.
Amazing, fabulous,
incredible,
awesome.
Yeah, wonderful.
Absolute.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. We're here. I'm so glad we're here. Spring and summer are right around the corner. I'm excited. There's a lot of good wrestling going on. There's also some bad stuff going on in wrestling. There's always some good and bad going on, but the bad is pretty heavy.
Oh, yeah. It's it's definitely there. Like you said, the good and the bad. And we try to take it, the majority good, because life is already heavy. Jeez. Could you imagine?
Amen.
Wrestling being heavy as well? Like, can't do it.
Like I said, there's a lot going on in wrestling. As we know, WWE is hosting their Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which by the time this episode comes out, the pay-per-view will have already aired because it's going to be on in the wee hours of the morning here in the West Coast and all over the world. As we know, Jade Cargill, according to the dirt sheets, was supposed to be in the Elimination Women's Chamber match, but was pulled at the last minute and was replaced with Raquel Rodriguez, who has been out for a bit dealing with some personal health stuff. She made her return recently, and she supposedly took the place of Jade Cargill. And I saw a lot of people on my timeline. They were extremely upset that Jade is not involved in this match or the pay-per-view at all. And they do have questions because it took a long time for Jade to debut. Between her signing and her actually debuting at Royal Rumble, it was a couple months in there. And people are kind of like, where does this leave Jade for WrestleMania? Is she going to be in WrestleMania? Is she just going to pop up? What is the path that Jade is going down, right? Do you feel like it was the right call to take Jade Cargill out of the match, supposedly, according to the dirt sheets?
Yes. I do think that it was the right move, and I'll tell you why. The Elimination Chamber is a big match, right? And though I would have loved to see Jade in there, a lot can go wrong. The Elimination Chamber is not just like a regular match. If she would have also had matches before the Elimination Chamber, I would have been like, yeah, absolutely, throw her in there. But the Elimination Chamber being her first match that she's in WWE, I feel like so many things could have gone wrong. And in a match like the Elimination Chamber, so many things can go wrong, right? This would have been her first time working with a lot of women. And this specific match, I feel like, is going to be the first time a lot of women have worked with each other, have been in the chamber. And it's just not one of the matches that I think, yeah, you can get a lot of shine in that match, but it's just too many things can go wrong. And if you're going to have Jade make her debut at the Rumble and then her next match right off the bat being the Elimination Chamber, I think that's too risky, especially if you're going to put her in a program working towards WrestleMania, if she's going to be in WrestleMania, or just, extend her story a little bit further. If she gets injured in a match like this, who knows how long she could be out for. And I just think it's too risky just because she hasn't had her matches already. Would I have loved to see her there? Absolutely. But I feel like if you want to protect her, definitely have her debut after, her first in-ring match after the Elimination Chamber. Whoever wins, Jade can have a moment with them. They could use her a little bit afterwards. But I think if you want to keep Jade safe for now, I think this was the good move, especially because Raquel has worked with already some of the women who are going to be in that match. So that's just my take on it. But I do understand why people would be upset.
No, I definitely agree as well. I'm a huge Jade fan, but I think about it as the company is almost protecting her in a way. She gets a lot of heat online, or people look at her a little bit sideways because she is still training in the PC. She hasn't announced what brand she signed to, but she's still actively training in the PC, which I don't see a problem with that. I would rather somebody, take their time, really learn the ins and outs of the ring before they step in the ring, and not be like Ronda Rousey, who just gets in there and roughhouses everyone up. I think at the end of the day, it really is about the safety in professional wrestling. Obviously we love the flips and all of that, and, seeing people perform in the ring, but at the end of the day, it really is about safety. And, they might not feel like she is confident and ready for an Elimination Chamber match. Like you mentioned, it's not just a regular one-on-one match. It's not the Royal Rumble, where you can kind of take a break and maneuver, and if you need a minute, you take a minute. The Elimination Chamber is on and ready, okay? Like, you can't take a break. You might be able to cut out of the frame, or stay in your little chamber, but it's always on, right? And I feel like all eyes would be on her because this is her second match in WWE. People are excited to see her in the company, and all eyes are going to be on her. It should be interesting to see how she will be worked into WrestleMania. I don't know if she's going to have a solo match. I don't know what her involvement is going to be, but I don't see her not being at WrestleMania. So just like the Jade stands online, I was kind of like bummed, but I understand why they wouldn't put her in a match like this. But I feel like we also have to be optimistic. But also, I feel like, with the stare down with Bianca at the Royal Rumble, a lot of people are like, okay, let's just do this. They both don't have a WrestleMania match. Why don't we just put them together? And it's like, please don't rush it. I said this as soon as they signed her. They need to utilize her properly. I know people are so eager and excited for her to face off against Bianca, and trust me, I am too. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to be up in there with a glass of wine and ready to go. But you can't rush something that will be so meaningful, right? I feel like when you had Bianca and you had Sasha Banks, they really built it up. It wasn't just like, okay, we're going to fight at WrestleMania. We've never had any interaction, right? And I feel like if they were to do that with Bianca and Jade, yeah, you could get Jade in there and work for a month, but like, this needs more than a month build. I've seen a lot of people say, well, what if they wait until next year? That'd be great. You have a whole year, maybe 6 months, if you decide to kind of maneuver other ways in the meantime to really build that up. You have Jade still doing her thing at the Performance Center. Just give it some time. Be patient. Sometimes wrestling fans lack patience because they want something so bad and they think, well, I just need it right now. Damn it. No, you don't. I need you to relax. I need you to go wash your underarms. I need you to take a breath, and I need you to just be patient, because I feel like when things are rushed, it just doesn't work out. We see stuff with AEW. I like AEW, but there are times where we see stuff with them where I'm like, damn, if they would have just like taken their time, it would have been better. But then you also have cases where they take too long, like the Devil storyline, and then you don't know where to go.
I feel like with Jade, they're really letting things marinate. And I think that's good. I think we really, really need that, because sometimes, like you said, things are really, really rushed and it just doesn't make sense. And like, could you imagine if they would have kept her in this Elimination Chamber match, and heaven forbid that something happened to her, right? There was an injury. And now you have taken away Jade in total. Like, who would have knows how long she would have taken to get ready and to heal up and whatever the injury might have been. And then people, again, would have gone on the internet and said, oh, you guys rushed this. You put her in there too soon. Why did you guys put her in the Elimination Chamber? Like, wrestling fans are never happy. But I feel
They're
like with
fickle.
fickle. But with this, I feel like everything's going to be fine, guys. We just need to relax, and Jade's storyline will work out. We promise. We just need to have a little bit of faith. I think that's going to go a long way in this situation with Jade.
There is more madness going on in the WWE, and it is the hashtag We Want Cody. So this whole hashtag, this movement, etc., started after it seemed like Cody Rhodes was not going to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Now, obviously, this has played out a little bit more now, but we haven't had the opportunity to talk about how crazy some of these fans got online. I was seeing people talking about having a riot at a show that they've had announced for months. They're like, we are going to riot. We are going to have a protest at my show in New York. Please join me. We want Cody. I need you to relax.
Did you find my burner account? Is that what you're...
Again? I understand people are passionate about Cody Rhodes, okay? I understand. People will belt out that damn song until they can't anymore, Iridian. I know you will. But that's one side of it, right? Like, you're a passionate fan. You enjoy watching someone wrestle in the ring. Then there's insanity, which I feel like a lot of people in that We Want Cody hashtag were giving. This is professional wrestling. You should not be having a riot, a protest, threatening to do stuff to people. Like, again, patience. And I feel like people just need to calm the down. We want to see Cody in the main event. You know, last year he didn't win. It was very talked about that he should have won just based on the whole storyline. But now he has this second chance. And obviously that wasn't clear at first. And people were just like about to die on the hill of we want Cody at WrestleMania. Just take a deep breath. I can show you some meditation videos if you need them, because I just feel like sometimes us as fans, I won't even say us because I don't get too tied up in this to the point where I feel like my life is crashing down because Cody Rhodes doesn't have an opportunity to fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for the title. That will never be me. You got to line up your priorities properly. If you really stress into the point where you just don't know what to do with your day, we need to just relax. Like, it's going to work out in the long run. Like, Cody's either going to get the title or he isn't. And guess what? The next day, you still got to go to work. You still got to go to school. Like, life keeps moving. Now we know that The Rock is involved, and that kind of adds a different element of things. There was a press conference here in Las Vegas where The Rock had come out. He basically aligned himself with Roman Reigns. They walked out together. He cussed at Triple H, and The Rock has been beside Reigns now. And it's interesting because I think a lot of people thought that we were going to get that Roman versus Rock match that we've been waiting for so long. Dwayne The Rock Johnson had this amazing run in WWE. He decided to go Hollywood, and ever since then, he's talked about his $7, and he hasn't returned to the WWE ring since. And people are like, okay, well, why do you keep ducking and dodging Roman? Well, now he's on Roman's side. So now it's like, are we ever going to get Rock versus Roman? Lot going on. I know you're a Cody fan. Don't come for my neck. I don't want to tussle with you on the Chardonnay and Chisme. Okay? What are your thoughts on this We Want Cody hashtag?
Well, Bestie, you and I are going to Mania, so whatever will happen will happen. But I'm wearing a little bracelet right now that I made. I made one for you too, but it's a We Want Cody bracelet. So I know you're gonna cackle, but like, Cody's there. Like, We Want Cody. It's there. It's happening.
This is insane. I like it though. I like the colors.
Thank you. I will be petty, and I will spend my day thinking about this. Like, when Roman inserted himself into that title picture, I'll tell you, it ruined my day. And I know you're like, Iridian, be so serious right now. But I am so serious. Like, I guess I'm a little biased because I wasn't really a fan of The Rock growing up. And Cody has just, the run that he's had is in WWE, I feel like is incredible. I feel like for The Rock, the greatest thing that I think he's done is Moana. I love Moana. What can I say except you're welcome? The song alone, incredible, right? But Lin-Manuel Miranda had a lot to do with that. Moana, life-changing, incredible. Like Lilo and Stitch level to me. I think that's the greatest thing that The Rock has done.
Oh, they gonna tussle with you when they hear this.
And people can tussle with me. That's fine.
They can. I'll back you up. I'm shook that you just said that, but I'll back you up. You know, I got you, but damn.
I appreciate you. But like, that's my opinion. And people who love The Rock will also think differently, right? I just want to know if he's going to wrestle or if it's going to be all talk. You know, when CM Punk came back, revolutionary in wrestling, but he was doing live shows. That man was in the ring wrestling. John Cena coming back, he was putting people over. It's interesting that people are like, oh, well, now you guys have wanted The Rock and Roman for a long time. And like, yes, we wanted that for a long time. That ship sailed. Like, we moved on. We're going to new things. And I feel like people were very upset because The Rock came back, mind you, is now a part of the company, and then kind of inserted himself into this thing that was like already planned, like, oh yeah, we're going to get Cody and Roman again. And then The Rock kind of inserting himself into the situation kind of threw people for a loop. And now I feel like The Rock has no other choice but to align himself with Roman, because the We Want Cody movement was so like, oh man, maybe they're really going to get upset and they're going to boo us out of the arena, and it's not going to be good for business if all you can hear on TV and the arena is like boos and people not paying attention and taking their, could you imagine people taking their bathroom break during the main event of WrestleMania? That would be insane. That would literally be insane. So I think they're like, all right, what's good for business is if we just kind of work together and then do this another time.
When Roman Reigns had won that Royal Rumble match and they had The Rock come out, and that reaction was bad. Like, you could hear the boos. So this is not the first time that WWE has done a trial run with these two, right? They saw it then. And I don't know if they thought, okay, this is a different era. This is like a different situation. Maybe it'll be better. You know, The Rock is a notable household name now. I mean, he was back then, but now he really is. You know what I mean? He has holdings in the company. He's involved high up in Endeavor. Maybe they thought it would be different. I mean, I saw a lot of people that were excited at the thought of Rock versus Roman, but there was way more people who were like, okay, where does this leave Cody? Now, I understand you being a fan. That's not my issue with this. It's when people take it too far. That's when I'm like, okay, I think you're too into it. Like I mentioned, the riot or the protest, whatever the hell it was. Now, I don't know if that actually happened. I didn't do any more research because I was just perplexed, and I felt like it was giving a little bit of racist, to be honest with you. It was giving a lot of January 6th, and I just wasn't liking that. This professional wrestling. At the end of the day, Cody will be fine. Roman will be fine. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson with his $7 in a dream will be fine. You do not need to do all of that. When you have somebody that is a notable figure in this community who decides that they want to stir the pot or do something crazy, you get a lot of people who have the same mindset, who might not say anything out loud, who see somebody high up and think, I'm not fucking align with them because they have the same mindset as me. And then it turns into something bigger. That is my issue with it. I see Cody fans all the time on my timeline. I like Cody Rhodes. I like watching him wrestle. I feel like he seems like a genuinely good person. It seems like he is very dedicated to his fan base. And that's what you like to see. It really reminds me of John Cena and how he was with his fans. But at the same time, a lot of people were upset at Cody because he didn't shut down these crazy people who were doing crazy stuff during this We Want Cody hashtag, right? Which I don't know if it's necessarily, I mean, what is he going to do? Like a State of the WWE Union address? Like, I don't know what he would have done. He can't DM everybody and tell them to shut the fuck up all at once, right? I don't know. He did kind of tell everybody to shut up, but it was in a very nice way. Like, he was kind of like, trust the process. I remember he put out a tweet about that, and I was like, that's the nicest way I've ever seen someone tell somebody to shut up. So I guess he kind of did it, but I'm excited for WrestleMania either way. You know, if Cody is in the title picture, which it seems like he will be, that's great. If The Rock somehow turns on Roman, which I kind of have a feeling that might happen, we're there. We can't leave. We can go to the bathroom. We might go get a glass of wine, but we cannot, like, we're not going to walk out. I saw people canceling flights when it was announced that Cody was not going to be at Mania, and then guess what?
That's crazy. How are people canceling flights? That doesn't make any sense to me. And like, yeah, you know, I told you that I like ruined my day, but like you said, like life goes on.
You were still productive. It's not like you sat in your room.
Go and lead the woe movement and go get downstate and be like, all right, guys, pack your bags. We got to catch this flight and sing Kingdom and lead the march. Like, what? What's happening?
The march.
Yes, the march. Like, I'm crazy, girl. Insane. People are so crazy. Where are we going to headquarters and be like, all right, guys, what are we doing?
To Titan Towers we go. Like we mentioned, WWE WrestleMania is coming up. With WrestleMania, you have the WWE Hall of Fame. They always announce people. And honestly, in my opinion, I feel like they've started to announce people even later and later now. So it leaves like very minimal time for them to kind of announce people. But we haven't heard of anyone yet. And I've seen rumblings. I've seen a lot of people who think Paul Heyman should go in this year since it will be in Philly, which is home to ECW, the 2300 arena. I've seen people saying that Bray Wyatt should go in, which I definitely agree. But I've also seen some female names. I've seen Chyna, who has been mentioned numerous times over the years as a solo induction. I've seen Victoria named, Jazz. Those are kind of the main women that I've seen, Melina as well. But who would you like to see inducted this year?
Okay, so I did a little bit of research on this one. I'm excited because I was like, oh, all right, I got a list. So first and foremost, William Regal. I think Mr. William Regal would be a good option. I know sometimes people get inducted a lot later on in their lives, and I don't think that that should be happening. I feel like if the person is in good health and can enjoy their Hall of Fame induction now, they should do it. And I feel like William Regal has really contributed a lot to WWE, especially their developmental brand, like NXT. What he has done there, I feel like has really been just incredible work. The wrestlers really respect him. And outside of WWE, he created one of my favorite factions in the Blackpool Combat Club. Now, I know they're not going to address that, but William Regal has just done a lot of great things in wrestling. So I think he would be a great induction. Also, John Cena, he has not been inducted into the Hall of Fame, so that would be a big name. I feel like maybe they could induct him in a couple more years. I feel like, maybe 5 years. If it doesn't happen this year, I'd be fine with it. But Batista's also a really good option that he could finally go.
Batista was announced years ago as a Hall of Fame induction, and he ended up, it was during the pandemic. It was when the Bellas went in, and he ended up saying that he would wait. And I thought, oh, he'll definitely wait until Hollywood because, he's been in these movies and stuff, but we haven't heard anything. And I'm like, did they forget?
So yeah, I'm like, is he on a waiting list? What's happening? So if we could get Batista, that would be great. A woman who I would love to see inducted into the Hall of Fame is Melina. You and I, we love her. We feel like she didn't get her flowers, and she doesn't continue to get her flowers. So, I feel like she deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And again, what she's done for women's wrestling has just been incredible. Seeing her at the Royal Rumble, incredible. When she was in there with Mercedes, or back then Sasha Banks. It's just fantastic. But I think one really, really good name would be Umaga. And with Mania and the heavy bloodline story, I think that would just be a great honor to have all of them there. And yeah, I think Umaga would definitely be a name that's high up for me. Yeah, that's my list. That's who I got. But William Regal, that's what I'm pushing for.
She said we are on the William Regal train, and we are not stopping until we get an induction.
I got to start a hashtag or something.
You got to do a petition. Get William Regal in the Hall of Fame.
Not the change.org.
Yeah, honestly, I think I've told you this before, but William Regal has always looked the same age to me. I've gone back in 90s, he looks the same. And he looks like he's in his 50s or 60s, but he's always looked like that. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is either, because I think there's a clip of William Regal was in the ring, and I feel like he was the Intercontinental Champion, I want to say. And Santino Marella is in there talking about Acorn, the rapper, who was in the crowd, and he was talking about Akon, and everybody was just in the ring. And William Regal, I was like, you look the same, sir. And this was years ago. You look the same. So I don't know. Some people, I guess, just have that effect.
For me, I would say top of the list is Victoria. I think that we've been saying this for years, that Victoria should have been inducted by now. And I look at, Tori Wilson has gone in, Stacy Keibler has gone in, Trish Stratus has gone in, Lita has gone in, Jacqueline has gone in, Ivory has gone in, and Molly Holly's in there. You have all of these women who have been inducted, who either she's teamed with or she's built a division with, and she is the only one that has not been inducted. And her and Jazz, which Jazz is my second one. But Victoria, I feel like really was in that movement where, she was kind of in the 90s, early 2000s type of vibe. But then she also was, with Michelle McCool, with Layla, with Marie. She was in that division as well. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't think she gets the proper recognition that she deserves. So I hope that she is one of the inductees this year. I think Jazz is a little bit more difficult. I think there's a lot of personal stuff that happened along the way, and I think she was disrespected. And I think that, they owe her an apology, first of all. And who knows? They might have already given her apology. We don't know the backstory of things, but I see this Black woman who, she was one of two Black women in the 90s, in the early 2000s. She was absolutely kicking ass. And there are so many women. I just saw a video of Mia Yim for Black History Month, and she mentioned Jazz, and people were like, we're so glad that you mentioned her. And it's like, okay, that's very good, because there was a while there where a lot of women in WWE were not talking about her. It almost seemed like she was blacklisted or blackballed. So I'm almost wondering if they're kind of starting to mend that broken relationship that happened, and I hope it leads to her getting in the Hall of Fame. Just like I said with Victoria, she was involved in that pivotal moment with the women of that movement, and everyone else in her category has been inducted other than her. And, it makes you wonder, why? Why has she not been inducted? And I think her time is well overdue. Also in the back of my head, too, I think about how she's been able to train these women who are just starting to wrestle and stuff like that. And I've said it before, I feel like that is such a good thing to do in professional wrestling. Like, you've had your time, you've had your amazing career, and to be able to kind of lend that knowledge to other people, I think is so amazing. And that's why I'm saying Jazz, it should be the second one in. I know typically they only do one woman. I need them to stop that. We need to have more women in the Hall of Fame. Like, you can't just be like, okay, here's your token woman for the year. No, induct more than one. If you could induct 2 women when you did the Bella Twins, I think they might have even inducted a 3rd woman that year. Why can't we do that every year? I understand this is a male-dominated business. There's more men than women, but let's get our together. You have a lot of women that watch. They want to see representation not only on their TVs every week, but in the Hall of Fame. So that's my 2 cents with that. I would definitely say Umaga as well, especially with the bloodline. And, there's rumors that Jacob Fatu might be signed. Zilla Fatu, who is his son, has been heavily involved in wrestling as well. So I feel like that would be a really good one. I think that, now that his son is really wrestling and leaving that legacy open, I feel like it definitely would be possible that they induct Umaga. Obviously, I feel like if The Rock is on the board, I feel like he might have a say in it as well, which will be interesting to see once they start announcing the names if he is within those being inducted this year. Honestly, I think Paul Heyman would also be another good one. You're in Philly. He's done so much in his career, not only as a promoter, but obviously he's still active now with Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. And he has really helped that faction. He has really helped Roman Reigns as well. And, I know a lot of people sometimes sleep on Paul Heyman. They think he's entertaining, and that's kind of where they leave it at. But he has truly made an impact in professional wrestling. He's been involved with other people that we won't name here, but he has really been the mouthpiece for these individuals. Obviously, I think Roman can talk on his own, but I think Paul Heyman has made him even more captivating with his addition of his mic skills, of his promo skills, stuff like that. So I think if you were to have anyone lead the class of 2024 for the WWE Hall of Fame, it should be Paul Heyman, especially in Philly. Like, that is where ECW started. I think, too, we might see a lot of, or a couple of ECW people will get inducted. I can't really pinpoint who it would be at this point, but I think there's a lot of individuals who have kind of been waiting for their inductions. You know what I mean? And, having it in Philly where ECW was, I think this is the perfect time. Rob Van Dam is already in. He's wrestling in AEW right now, so that one wouldn't be a good one at this point. But if they hadn't inducted him already, I would see why they would do it in Philly. I don't see Tommy Dreamer going in because he's with Impact. Like, there's a lot of people who I'm like, oh, they probably could put him in, but he's with another company. So unless they mend fences, I mean, we saw Jordan Grace at the Royal Rumble, so anything is really possible at this point. Finally, I think for this Hall of Fame class, I really do think they're going to induct Bray Wyatt. I think his death was such a moving moment in professional wrestling last year. It was something that collectively I've never seen happen in wrestling. That was a time where I feel like everyone was somber. And I've seen wrestling deaths before, and you have like a segment of people who are sad and some people who probably didn't watch the person, but will say rest in peace. And then you have some people who just genuinely just aren't tuned in. But this was the first death that I have seen where it just really impacted a lot of people all at the same time. And I think Bray Wyatt had such a captivating character in WWE, one that he worked on heavily himself, as mentioned a lot over the years. And I think he was very passionate about being different in professional wrestling. So, I definitely could see him going in this year as well. If Paul Heyman is not the headliner of the class, I think that Bray Wyatt may be. I know that they typically do like a hero type of one as well. I'm not sure who they would plug in there. There's also, they usually do like a celebrity induction as well. I've seen Sylvester Stallone mentioned. I've seen Cyndi Lauper mentioned. I really don't know who could go in for that one. I feel like that one's always really random. So we'll see what they plug in there. And then you always have a tag team, it seems like, that they'll induct. I also don't know who they would induct there, but I'm really looking forward to the Hall of Fame. I hope some of our choices are incorporated in, because we mentioned a lot of people that really made an impact in professional wrestling, specifically WWE, and I think it's their time to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. As we know by now, Naomi is back in the WWE. She made her return at the Royal Rumble, which was so amazing to watch, and her tag team partner, formerly known as Sasha Banks, she's now known as Mercedes Moné, wrestled in New Japan Pro Wrestling. She has not really done anything recently, and it has people wondering, is she going to AEW? Is she going to WWE? It just so happens that AEW is going to be in Boston soon with an event called Big Business. Business has dollar signs in it, and we know Mercedes Moné, Boston. She's from Boston. a lot of things are clicking at once. I think she's going to AEW, and it will be interesting to see because AEW has gotten a lot of traction in a negative way because of their women's division. They've hired a woman recently that will help with the women's storylines. And I've seen a lot of people wonder if they hired her strictly because Mercedes is coming into the company and they want to make sure that they leave a lasting impression on her because she is a superstar and she should be treated as such. As we know, Mercedes and Trinity were both in WWE at one time. They were a tag team together. They ended up walking out of the company, and a lot of people felt very different ways. You had a lot of people who thought they were entitled because they walked out. And how could you do that? And you had a lot of people like us who were like, you know what? It is their career. If they feel passionately about leaving, let's see what they do next. We're behind them either way. We're 10 toes down. And Mercedes made lasting impression in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And then you had Trinity, who went to Impact and definitely made an impact. She was champion. She faced off against the likes of Jordan Grace, Mickey James. Like, she really went to that division and she really helped shape it to what it is today. And obviously there were women before that who helped shape it as well, but I feel like Trinity really went in there. She busted her ass to really put them on the map. Looking back from 2022 to now, do you feel like they made the right decision? Do you feel like Trinity made the right decision by going to Impact, coming back to WWE? Do you think that Mercedes made the right decision leaving WWE, going to New Japan, and now supposedly rumored going to AEW?
Yeah, heavily rumored. Sean Ross Sapp has gone every week. He's like, Mercedes is an AEW. She's signed. She's there. He won't get like too much into the specifics, but if we're going off of what Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful has said, Mercedes is an AEW. Like, she's there in the bag. I think the women have made a right decision. Like, wherever they want to go, that's cool with me. You know, we weren't there backstage that day where they walked out. We didn't know what led up to it. You know, rumor was they were going to drop the titles, and they had literally just won the titles. So we don't know what happened, and we're never going to know
I don't think we
unless
never will, right?
yeah, and again, and it's not our business to know because
Yes.
they don't owe that to us. Naomi became such a bigger name in an Impact, so I think she made the right choice. I feel like she had a fantastic run, and you know, we always kind of hoped that they would end up back in WWE or wherever, right? But I feel like Naomi really deserves a good championship run in WWE because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she didn't get that, and she's so marketable. She's so athletic. She really deserves that. And I think she kind of like not got her fix, but I feel like her Impact run was good enough that she's like, all right, I think I can go back to WWE now, as opposed to Mercedes, who, yeah, she did some stuff in New Japan, but you can't say that that equaled the run that Trinity had in Impact. So I
Right.
feel she might still be like, you know what, I'm not ready to go back there. Like, I still want to do these other things. So I'm going to go to AEW, really have a fantastic run there. And I wouldn't doubt that, hey, you know, she has a good run in AEW and she goes back to WWE. I think that that's a really strong possibility. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that it'll be interesting to see what AEW does with Mercedes because, you know, they just got Deanna. Britt's going to heal and get back. And then, you know, Thunder Rosa and Jamie Hayter's coming back from injury. So that roster's about to be stacked. So they really need to have a solid plan for these women because if you just let Mercedes chill on your roster, like, what are we doing? What's happening?
Right.
We're seeing with
Mm-hmm.
Naomi, she's already being incorporated in the Elimination Chamber. She was in the Rumble. Like, she's already stacking up her things. I feel like it's a matter of time before she gets put in that championship title picture. But yeah, I feel like whatever they do, that's cool with me. I'm not going to judge them. They know what they're doing with their money, and props to them. I want to see them on the screen. I want to see them wrestling, and when they do that, I'll be happy.
I just have to say, I'm glad that we have more than one Black woman on the main roster right now because it was rough out there for a minute with just Bianca. Like, you cannot just have one Black woman on the main roster. Now, you look at NXT and that is stacked with Black women. I absolutely love it. That's honestly the only reason why I keep up with NXT is because they have Black women and they know how to wrestle and they look good. Okay. But, you know, having Naomi back, someone with amazing ring skills, athleticism, you know, she has it. Just like you said, she's marketable. And you think about, you have Bianca, who is also very marketable, also very athletic. You have these two women. Then you have Jade, marketable. Like, you have all of these Black women on your roster. And, I'm so glad that they're using Naomi right now and they're utilizing her in a correct manner. And I just hope that it continues. Even before she walked out the company, I was just like, why are they not spotlighting her the way that she deserved? I always go back to that Royal Rumble match when she came out and she had her natural hair and she was just so bubbly and bright. And I was like, she could have been on Essence. She could have been on BET. She could have been on VH1, MTV. Like, she could have had that coverage. You know what I mean? And I feel like they fumbled so badly with her. And I hope that the proper notes and precautions are taken this time to not do that again. They've realized, and I hate to say this, but I feel like they've realized that Black women are just as marketable as the white women on their roster. Because look at Bianca Belair. She has her own reality show with her husband. And I think back 5 years ago, I don't think they would have clicked. I don't think that would have clicked. I mean, Total Divas, like, yeah, you had some variety. You had JoJo on there. You had Cameron. You had Naomi. Like, you did have Black women, but most of the people on there were white women. A lot of Black women love professional wrestling. They want to see people spotlighted, whether that's in the ring, whether it's on a reality show, whether it's on primetime TV, or it's on the Sherry Shepherd show, wherever. They want to see people that look like them. And I think that they have really crafted it perfectly for Bianca, and I think they could do the exact same thing for Naomi. But I think with Naomi, like you've said before, they need to bring back that Glow title. I feel like they are going to miss out on so much money, so much marketability without having a title on her that glows. That would sell so well, and I feel like that just has a story within itself, right? You have those WWE Treasure episodes, and you have like that. That is something that you can, PR would have a field day with that. You've seen a couple people in history have their own custom titles. The last one that I can really think of is Daniel Bryan's belt, his green belt. Remember that? But we've seen John Cena's, custom US title. We've seen all of these different people have these custom titles. Why can't a Black woman do it? Period. That's all I have to say.
No, I agree with you. And it's, again, I want her to have that title run. And when I picture her having, it needs to be SmackDown. It cannot be Raw.
Yes.
It needs to be her SmackDown belt. And it needs to glow. Like, we saw how everything happened in Total. I don't remember if it was Total Divas or Total Bellas. I want to say
it was Total Divas. Yeah.
But we saw the whole story of what happened. She had this idea and she's like, you know what? I'm going to bet on myself and think that this, looks good and that this idea will work. We saw how many problems happened backstage where they're like, you did not get this approved. What's going on? We cannot have you go out there with this that we did not approve. Like, I was living for it. That whole storyline. I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Is she going to get in trouble? She has to walk out with the championship. Like, she can't not go out there with the glow belt. And people loved it. And I feel like, people bought that custom Bella's belt, the Undertaker belt, the Bray Wyatt belt, the Fiend mask, I think this belt is also one that you're like, oh, wow, this is so different than any other championship that it would sell. And again, they're going to lose out on money if they don't market this. Like, it would be incredible. Could you imagine little glow in the dark bracelets with that championship belt? Incredible. So yeah, I'm hoping that they do that this time around.
And then in terms of Mercedes, I have big hopes for Mercedes. I think the fact that she's going into a company with Willow there is what I find very exciting, because we know those two faced off for the first ever New Japan Strong women's title, and Mercedes ended up losing that match. She ended up getting injured. Her ankle got messed up. That's why she hasn't been seen really wrestling. But Willow had that title. She had it for a couple months. She lost it to Julia. I feel like those two already have chemistry, so I'm wondering how that will play once Mercedes gets there, because she already has that familiarity with Willow. And obviously there's other women there that she's been involved with. I'm sure she's been involved with Toni Storm since she was in WWE before. And there's a lot of other women there who have been in WWE, Ruby Soho, like the list goes on. But I feel like her and Willow could make more magic in AEW. And that's someone that I'm hoping that she immediately works with. I hope that she doesn't go straight to the top and go right for Toni. I want to see her work her way around a little bit, encounter these people that maybe she's always wanted to work with. Maybe encounter a Britt Baker. You got the DMD versus the Boss. You have to have her in these different situations, because I feel like, and this is just, again, back to fickle wrestling fans, I feel like if you have Mercedes come in and you immediately have her go for Toni, people are going to be pissed. Now, Deonna did the same thing, but Deonna is not a Black woman. And I feel like they will allow Deanna to do it. But if a Black woman comes in and says, I want my title shot, they'll be like, whoa, you're doing too much, coming in too hot. And Mercedes Moné has the accolades to do that. But the way that wrestling fans are, like, oh, she's doing too much. You know what I mean? And obviously, Deanna, yes, she put her feet down and she said, look, I want you, Toni Storm. But Deanna has also worked with other people in the meantime leading up to Revolution, where I feel like, yeah, she did go right after Toni, but she also has shown that she can work with other people. Mm-hmm. She's had these matches. But again, like I said, I feel like it would be a problem if a Black woman did it. And that's coming from me as a Black woman, seeing how the wrestling atmosphere works a lot of times. So I'm really looking forward to both of them just being in their separate companies, making a name for themselves. And, you know, if Mercedes decides in a couple of years she wants to go back to WWE and team with Naomi again, I'm here for it. If Mercedes decides that she wants to go to Japan again or she wants to stay with AEW, I'm here for it. I just feel like we need representation in all areas of wrestling. It doesn't matter what company you're in. It doesn't matter if you're on the top of the card, the mid card, or the low card. We need representation everywhere we can possibly see, because I think about people just starting to watch wrestling, or, you know, young kids just really might starting to get interested in it, Black kids specifically, and seeing people that look like them, and that might keep them interested in professional wrestling because they think, man, I could be a professional wrestler, or wow, that person looks like me. So that's kind of where I'm going based off of it, because I'm like, what if they don't watch WWE? They won't see Naomi, but they might see Mercedes in AEW and vice versa. So we will see what happens with time. We have done sound off moments before, but we are changing the name. Okay, we're changing the name. Words of Wrestling Winedown. You know how they have Words of Wisdom? This is Words of Wrestling Winedown. You know, there's a lot of stuff that I've seen recently on the timeline that just leaves me puzzled. And this topic is a little bit interesting. I feel like we talk about controversial stuff, but this is one that really is very controversial. You know, I've noticed recently in the world of professional wrestling that there seems to be an increase of the amount of people giving predators a platform in wrestling. And I'm not going to name names. It's pretty obvious what has been going on if you keep up with Twitter.com, but there have been wrestlers who have been gone, MIA. We haven't heard anything about them. They've had allegations against them that have been proven to be true. And all of a sudden they're on popular podcasts giving their sides of the stories. And in my opinion, why do you need a side of the story? You are problematic. You've done illegal things. Obviously, you have not gone to jail because you were able to find a loophole, or your lawyer was able to find a loophole. But the interview is not the only issue here, where I'm seeing companies that have less than a handful of followers who are allowing these individuals to enter their wrestling rings, have matches, cut promos, and it makes me feel uncomfortable. So there was a specific instance last weekend where an individual who has had very serious accusations against them, who recently did an interview with a very well-publicized wrestling journalist, he magically surprise appearance at this venue, at this event, and he had a match, he had a promo, and people who were in attendance were very upset because they felt like they were tricked to go to an event and that they should have been told beforehand that a predator would be in the ring wrestling, making money at this show. And instead of understanding their audience, reading the room, the venue stood 10 toes down with the predator. They were like, everybody deserves a second chance. What? I don't understand the fascination. Now, in my humble opinion, I feel like this company only booked this specific individual because they knew the traction that they would get online. They did not care that it was negative traction. They only cared about traction. I'm sure if I were to go back, if I even remember name of the company, I blocked them, so I don't remember the name of them. I'm sure if I went back now, they probably have triple the followers. They probably have quadruple the followers. You know why? Because people are very nosy, and even if they don't like something, they will press follow because they want to see what someone is going to do next so that they can dunk on them. Instead of being like, you are sick in the head, I'm going to block you, I'm never interacting with you again. And I feel like as a community, we need to start peeping, but also we need to make the necessary precautions. You could go online all day and talk and yell and scream on your timeline about how someone's a predator, but if you're still following them, if you're still supporting them, if you're still following the companies that they pop up at, they wrestle at, how are you fixing the problem? Now, I understand it's not the fans' responsibility to fix the problem, but you're also, in a way, still showing support by following, by attending, etc. I feel really bad for those fans who were in attendance that had no idea. And I even look around the ring and I see children there, and I'm like, bro, this is not cool at all.
Yeah, it's like, just I don't even know where to begin, right? Because like if you say something, you just open up a can of worms and like an endless debate of like people think like, oh, they should be, people deserve second chances. I'm not one of those people who think that people deserve second chances. Like if they've shown you your true colors once, that's it. When it comes to journalism, I feel like this case was really came out of the blue, right? Because we had heard rumblings that this person was offering to do interviews, and we're like, that's insane that people would even consider to take this man's offer up on doing an interview. And I feel like if you as a journalist have I mean, again, it's a line where you're like, oh well, I'm a journalist, right? I have to talk about this, I have to report things, but you have a choice, right? It's not like you were working for a big major company and they're like, all right, this is who you're interviewing today. Like this person decided to take that interview and give this person a platform, and it got views, right? We don't know how many because you and I didn't watch, but we heard it did numbers. So the fact that this person gave this predator a platform is insane, because now look where we are. We
Hmm.
are at the point where this guy is in wrestling rings, he's in promotions, and best believe this is not the last time we're going to see him in a ring. Like he is now used this as like, all right, well, people still love me, people, which there are, he still has fans, which is
I see
insane.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, people are still like, oh well, what happened to this person, why didn't he get his opportunity, like, he'll be the biggest what if in wrestling. That's his fault, that's
Yes.
literally his fault. So I don't think that we should be giving people like that a platform. And if you wanted to get your numbers up and podcasting or whatever, I feel like there was another way you could have gone about it. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that, because we're not here to give people second chances when the allegations like that were having to do with children. Are you serious? Like, no, not here.
I feel like these companies need to really sit down and figure out what their values are, because with stuff like this, it shows that they don't have any. And there have been other specific instances, not in terms of predators, but like, people treating each other inappropriately. Well, I'm just going to say at WrestleCon, for example, that's what I think of immediately, and how that situation kind of played out, and how it was kind of a reactive effort from them to, oh, we need a values, we need a handbook for our people to come, and how people are supposed to act when they're at our venue. Like, why are you doing this after the fact? Like, why are you so reactive? Why are you not proactive? And I find that a lot in wrestling. It's like when something happens, then people want to react to it instead of thinking beforehand, okay, we have these values, we need to stick to them. If this person, the specific person, if they're a predator or whatever the case may be, if they want to get booked on our card, it's an absolute hell no. It's not a, think we could get our numbers up a little bit. Let's just put him on the card. That's not like, what the are you doing? Yes, you're getting numbers, but you also look like a jackass, and you look like you actively know the allegations about this person, and B, you somewhat still support him. Like, that's psycho. It's psycho. Like I said, I see stuff a lot online, and I sometimes I'll just shake my head, but when I saw this, it really bothered me. And then seeing the promotion stand 10 toes down, I was like, oh, you don't need to be running a company. It made me sick to my stomach. So I feel like we need to stop giving people, predators, a platform. Like, I feel sick even talking about this. Please stop giving people platforms when they just don't deserve one. Tell them that Indeed.com is still there. Let's end this with a good note. As Iridian said, we will be at WrestleMania. We are really looking forward to it. I'm very excited. I have never been to Philly. All I know is Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill. That is how I will prepare myself. And I know Philly cheesesteaks. So very excited. Chardonnay and Chisme will be right there in the action. I hope I can sit in the ring, but if I can, I'll be close enough. Thank you, Iridian, so much for joining me here on Wrestling Winedown. Where can the people find you on social media?
They can find me right below. You put the handles 10 out of 10, Iridian _Fiero, and Rest Friends. We are close to 1,800 subscribers on YouTube. We're 10 subscribers away. So help us on YouTube and you'll like a lot of our content. I promise you. And every Saturday
10.
night.
That is somebody's mom, their grandma, their neighbor.
I need you guys.
Your
10
moms.
Toes, all of those toes need to start a YouTube channel and subscribe to Rest Friends. All right, 10 toes deep.
Yes.
And every Saturday after the AEW Collision show, you guys can head over to Fightful and you can find me, Cresta Star, and Riccocino at the post-show team. So find me on Fightful and 10 people for Rest Friends. Please and thank you.
The next 10 people to go and follow Rest Friends on YouTube, I will send you a 15% off code for Wrestling Winedown's merch store. I know y'all like some bad bitches shirts. I know you like the But Daddy, I love wrestling shirts. 15% off to the next 10 people that follow Rest Friends on YouTube. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wrestling Winedown. You can find all of our other episodes available wherever you listen to your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, and iHeartRadio. We are on Twitter and Instagram at WWDCAST. We also have our official merch store, which you can find at shop.wrestlingwinedownlv.com. Let us know what you thought about this episode. What was your favorite part? Until next time, enjoy your wine and, of course, enjoy your wrestling. Cheers!